to welcome our board member, Mr. Juguna Mburu, to share his remarks. Then he will now welcome our speaker for the day, Ms. Pauline Kariuki, to guide us through the session. Welcome all, and we hope that you're going to have a lovely time with us. Thank you so much. Mr. Njuguna, to you.
Good morning, everybody. What a privilege to have this opportunity to meet with you guys again, to share ideas and thoughts. This is the first wellness talk, like Angela shared, and we are hoping that we shall be able to delve into the matters of mental health, that we shall talk to each other, teach each other. This is not intended to be a lecture. Yes, we have a speaker, but the idea is not that the speaker would come to lecture for 1 hour and then we go home with new information and new ideas, but rather that they would just stir us up. They would speak, but really just to stir us up and get us thinking in certain ways, and then be able to share ideas and thoughts of what is on our mind. Today we have our very own Pauline Kariuki, Pauline Modoni Kariuki, who is a CX professional and corporate leader for the past 15 years, working in financial services, management, consulting, and humanitarian services. She is currently practicing as a customer experience trainer, consultant, and leadership coach. Pauline has a blend of experience in driving business growth and setting business apart in competing markets for growth of revenue and profitability. She is the founder of Corporate Solutions Consultancy. She helps organizations increase overall performance by developing and training research-based custom-made business solutions. Her vision is creating business success through 3 P's of high performance, which is people, productivity, and profitability. So today it is our great honor to invite Pauline to come and just share with us on the topic of wellness, balance, just getting a balance, work and life balance. Pauline, karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Mr. Njuguna, and welcome us all into this session. It's exciting to be part of this great conversation as we try and unpack, besides being professionals in our different areas, the other things, you have other domains of our lives, you have family, you have building our careers, we have businesses that we run, we have our social life, we have our spiritual life, we have other things that we do each day. So how do we integrate everything together and remain sane? And to add on to what Mr. Juguna has said about me, this topic to me is very dear. Why? Because besides being a professional, I am also a mother, I am a wife, I am also doing other community-based activities. I'm involved in church activities, many things around me. And to add it all, I have a teenage daughter who is just entering the phase of teenagehood, and there's a lot happening around that space. And so I have to remain, very sane, just realizing that all these things are part and parcel of my life. And it is important that I handle them in the best way possible. And so that is why this topic is very, very important for all of us, so that we are able to engage productively in our lives. We are able to be efficient in everything that we do. So let us all join in as we journey together. This will be a very interactive session, just like it has been indicated. We want to engage with one another. All of us have something that we can offer, We all have something within us. We have our own coping mechanisms that some work, maybe some don't work. So perhaps it is trying to weave in all our experiences together and learn from each other, build each other, and also grow one another. So build a community where people can grow beyond only the professional phase, grow even in, be an all-rounded person. So I'll be going through a presentation. It is not really a lecture, but it is a colorful and exciting presentation. So I'll dive into sharing this so that we can work together, all of us. Let's ask ourselves, at the end of the day, what do we really want to learn? And I came up with 3 things. Number 1 is just to try and unpack what is the difference between work-life balance and work-life integration. Many a times we look at these 2 aspects, together. The difference or the line in differentiating the 2 concepts is very thin. However, we will be looking at some aspects that will help us be able to differentiate the 2. We shall also be able to look at how can we be able to, reduce our stress, because when you are not able to integrate all these things in our life, what happens? The impact that comes with that is mostly stress. Sometimes we feel guilty that we are not able to accomplish our goals, to live out our purpose, to be productive in our places of work. And that sometimes some of us may carry some guilt with that. So how do we address that and increase more happiness and fulfillment in our lives? And lastly, we shall look at some key strategies that we can apply so that we are able to be more effective. And so before we begin on, I'm just curious to know from each and every one of us, how do you feel about your work-life situation currently, And I would appreciate that maybe you can have that conversation through the chat box. Just throw in a word or a phrase that describes how do you feel, Think around that. Think about your life, the other domains of your work, life outside your profession, and also in the profession, and ask yourself, how are you feeling? How does that make you feel right now? Then we shall come back and review these as we progress on. I am also taking myself through that journey of asking myself, how do I feel even currently as I do this presentation? And so this person here is just like most of us in this room, on one side, we are thinking about, am I making profit if I'm in business? Is my department profitable? Am I giving in enough of myself in terms of my work? That presentation that was just about to do, and I have a presentation, maybe you have a presentation, maybe immediately after this session, is it ready? Do you feel like it is what you'd want? It carries the weight that you want to put out there. You have a meeting that you want to rush to. On this other hand, you're thinking, okay, maybe you had an activity for, in your children's school, or you had another activity to do with your own personal life. For those of us who are not yet parents, you're thinking of, you have a business that a client is calling you and asking you, I placed this order and it has not been delivered. You're thinking about your own health, your physical health. Maybe some of us are not in the best shape in terms of our health, and you're struggling with some things. And yet on the other side, you really have to put your best foot forward in your work. So sometimes you feel, you are in between there. You are cut between the professional side and you're cut between the other side of life. And so as we continue engaging and putting up the feelings that we are currently going through, it's important that you're able to recognize that all these things are part and parcel of us. It's natural to go to feel what we are feeling right now because we are experiencing life differently for each and every one of us. And so as you think how you feel, I would also be interested that if you have a piece of paper and a pen somewhere, which I would recommend that all of us have, write down a list of all the areas, how you spent your life. How do you spend your time? How do you, in a day, what are the many activities that you do? Just put that list down. As we progress on, we will dive back into that and look at the many areas that we have highlighted. Again, remember, we are still, walking through with the emotions that we are feeling about our work and life. Now, I want us to integrate the feeling to the actual activities. Now, remove them in the head and put them in writing. We say when you write something down, it becomes realistic. Just write somewhere down, and we shall review that list as we continue on. And I asked myself as Pauline, as a professional, and as I engage with all of us here, about the 50 of us here in this room, typically, how does a day look like for a professional? What are the many things that we do in a day? And I would want us to look at some of the activities that I came up with, confirm with your list, just check through your list and tell me whether some of these things are there, or there are some things that I may have left out. I thought to myself, Pauline, what do you do? And I thought, okay, I have meetings to attend, whether it's physical meetings, whether it is online meetings, I have phone calls to attend to. Some of us have teams that we are leading in our different workplaces. You have pitching that you have to do for business. You have presentations, you have contracts to look at, you have policies to look at in a day. And remember, that's only one part of your life. There's the other part that is pulling and competing with this attention. And so sometimes the struggle comes in. Where do I fit? What do I do best? And that when that is not well managed, then we are likely to experience some challenges. So go back to your list, look at that list. There, does it match with some of the things that I've highlighted here? If it does, well. If it doesn't, you can add on to what you feel you may have missed out. And so some of you may be feeling like this lady, everything feels like it's falling apart. You feel like you are gasping for energy, for air, as if the oxygen around you is drained. Why? Because there's so much to do. There's so much to be done. And you sometimes may wondering, how do I accomplish all this together and at the same time remain sane? So, and it's said that as professionals, we like handling all our challenges together. We want to deal with the issues that are coming in at the workplace. We want to deal with them individually, and sometimes if it's personal issues, we do not want to seek for help because we believe we can do it. We have been programmed in our minds that we can be able to deal with everything that comes and everything on our table. And sometimes that can, realistically, that can really get overwhelming. And some of the wellness experts we have said that some professionals, because of taking in this weight by themselves, experience what we call super stress. They're always feeling super stressed because of the weight on their shoulders, the hats, the many hats they are wearing. We try to bite the elephant as a whole. You have this big elephant, whether it's coming from all these domains that we have, and we want to chew it together. How can we unpack and bite small bits to, bite a small bit here, unpack there, and make our life easier? And the many domains that we have beyond the career is, we forget about me. You as an individual, where do you fall in terms of all these domains? Where are you? Sometimes we focus a lot on family, we focus on friends, we focus on making connections, but stepping back, just taking a step back and saying, wait a minute, it is about me, it is about resonating with what is that is important to me, what really makes sense to me as an individual, as Pauline, and as everybody else in this room. Remember, we are highlighting the activities. We have an exercise to highlight the activities that we have. We are also connecting that with the emotions that are coming into the space in regards to those activities. And like I mentioned before, sometimes we feel like achieving a goal of integrating life and work as a professional can look like a very difficult thing to achieve. And when I look into this room, we are about maybe 50 or so. And if we go by the statistics, that 1 in every 4 feel super stressed, I would want us to engage a bit with ourselves and ask, where are you at? Are you in the category of feeling that you're super stressed? Are you in the category of feeling stressed? Are you feeling like you are in a space of burnout? Or you are in a space you're feeling, I think my life is going on okay, that I am applying healthy coping mechanisms, that you are feeling that your life and work is well integrated. Where are you at? How do you feel about it? You know, ask ourselves, let's keep engaging with that feeling and asking ourselves, what really are we feeling at? Which category are we at? It said that, you know, as you bring ourselves into the workspace, as we bring ourselves into the different spaces of our lives, it's very difficult to be a high performer, to achieve high performance, if you don't bring the whole self into that space. What does that mean to us? Bringing the whole self into the space. Basically, it is being able to ask yourself, what is really important for me? How do I integrate all these things together so that I feel less guilty and less stress? Like we say, when you feel less guilty, you feel less stress, and vice versa. You know, when you feel less stress about the things you're doing, you feel less stressed also on the things you're doing. You know, at times, as I want to pick on mothers, sometimes we suffer from what we call the mom guilt. You know, you want to run everything together at the same time. You want to be a super mom, you want to be a super professional, you want to be, and when one of these things drop, when you drop ball on any of these, we suffer from a syndrome called the mom guilt. And mom guilt is when you're feeling like, I am not being the best mom that I would want to be to my children. Allow me to specifically picking on the it is by being intentional, it is by being very creative in our coping mechanisms that we are able to bring our whole self into the space. And so I thought about these two concepts, about whether applying the work-life balance, whether you are the balancer or you are the integrator. And I looked at 2 cases. I asked myself, how does it look like? When we talk about a work-life balancer, what exactly are we talking about? What are these aspects that we can pick on as we do our day-to-day activities to conclude that I think I am a work-life balancer or a work-life integrator? So journey with me as we look into these 2 case studies, and then after that, we will come back and ask ourselves, we track back. We started by asking, how do I feel? I hope all of us are engaging with that thought. How do I feel? Then we went back into documenting, making a list of the things that you do in a day, or you do all the activities you do in your life. Now we are going into the next phase and asking ourselves, where do I lie? Am I a balancer? Am I an integrator? Which works for me? Which doesn't work for me? If I'm not applying any of these techniques, which one do I start applying to be more effective? So this is Jane. So Jane is a professional, like many of us in this room, and Jane wakes up early at 6 a.m. and she prepares to go to work, so that she's at work, or even earlier, to be work by 8 a.m., which is her official reporting time. So Jane sits in and does her work until her lunchtime. Her lunchtime is 1 o'clock. She takes a break between 1 and 2 p.m. to have her lunch. She comes back and continues with her work from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. In between, she's very cognizant not to address any personal issues. So she has set the blocks of time just to do what is required of her at her workspace. So come 5 o'clock, she packs and leaves. She passes through the gym and the club just to catch up with her physical wellness as also and her social wellness as she networks with her friends. About 6 o'clock, Jane packs and goes home. She prepares dinner, sets her children, and she is ready to go to bed, to call it a day. And the cycle continues. Now, Jane is planning to take a break in the coming Easter holiday. She has already made her application for her annual leave to take a 1 week break to go to the coast. And during that time, Jane is also very aware and recognizes that she is not gonna do any work, any official work during that time. It's purely her me time and her family time. So that is Jane, our case number 1. So think, are you Jane, or are you in the category of the next person that we shall be looking at? So I have Jake with me. This is Jake. Jake is also a professional. Jake wakes up at 5 a.m. in the morning. He first catches up with his schedule for the day. So he'll first look at what are the things that he wants to do for that particular day. He will also check whether there are any emails that came out in the night, what he may want to attend to that early morning, as he also sets out his to-do lists. So by around 7 when the children are waking up, 6:37 when the children are waking up, he prepares them, he helps the children prepare and also takes breakfast with them. And then after the kids are picked to go to school, then he continues on checking whether there's any other emails that may have come up, whether there's anything that needs his attention. After that, Jake then goes to work, meaning that Jake is getting to work in between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. So Jake sits in for a meeting in the office. He goes in for an exco meeting and other meetings. And at around 2 p.m., Jake leaves the office. He goes to the golf club. He goes to play and also to network, which means that he's building on his social capital and his social wellness. In between, he has left his space open in a way that should he be called in for any meeting, a conference virtual meeting, he can step aside and put some time to attend to that meeting. So he's that flexible. He's allowing himself that flexibility. And a call comes in and Jake is able to take it in. So Jake finishes with his game. He goes to the gym, finishes as well, and goes home. He checks in with the homework with his children. He catches up with his wife and checks around, any other activity that may have come in between. And by around 8 p.m., Jake sits down to again check on his work. Anything that he needs to attend to, any emails that he needs to write to, and anything else around his work, until when he's ready to retire to bed. Jake has already also planned for a vacation, family vacation in the coming month. He's taking a 10-day vacation with his family for a 10-day break. However, Jake is cognizant that even when he's away, he's okay attending to calls. He's okay attending to one activity relating to work or the other. So he has allowed again himself that flexibility of working, setting some time aside to work when still on vacation. And those are my two cases. There's Jen, who puts in blocks of time to specifically designated only for her work and nothing else, specific time for only her other part of life. Here is Jake. Jake is open, Jake is flexible, Jake is able to integrate all this together in a way that it does not affect him negatively in any of the two areas, whether it's the personal life or is the professional life. And so here we are to just, again, interrogate within ourselves and find out, is it about work-life balance or is it about the integrator? I'll be curious to know what you think and which one you think would work best for us. Again, let's interact and ask ourselves, is it about like a work-life balance or is it about work-life integration? I would be curious to know if, Angela, there are anything you'd want us to read from the chat box, from the conversations that we've been having, from understanding the emotions of where people are into where we are at.
Okay. Yes, Pauline, we are having responses on chat. And to the first question that you put up and we asked the audience was, how do you feel about your current work-life situation? So the answers that came in, Pauline, we had Ben Opalo saying that working from home has led to work-life integration. Pauline, maybe you can, from the two options that you have given us, work-life balance and work-life integration, maybe you could then again tell us more whether this working from home has led to work-life integration or is it work-life balance? And then we had Doris Kisai saying that it is what it is, yeah? So there with the hands up, that's how Doris is feeling. Then Jackie said the overwhelm of so much to do, and I can feel you, Jackie. I believe many of us, as in many of us are also in this space, just feeling overwhelmed with work. And then we had Lisa also saying 24 hours seems like it is not enough. That's a good one, Lisa. And then Naomi from Optiven says that she's feeling optimistic. It's challenging me to work. So it's challenging her to work towards her target wholesomely, spiritually, economically, physically, and also psychologically. Joe Alando says that we say things are many, time is few. A balance is really needed to remain productive in all key areas of life. Here to learn, he's here to learn. Thank you so much for your responses all. And yes, Pauline, that is what we're having on chat.
All right, very interesting. I see different people are in different spaces. It's normal for us to feel that way. It's absolutely okay for people to feel and experience themselves that way. Then the next question to ask ourselves is, if you're in the scale of feeling overwhelmed, what can we be able to do to move ourselves in that space of feeling you've diffused that feeling overwhelmed, the anxiety and the stress. And we shall be looking at some of the aspects. Angela, you asked a very important question about working from home, whether it helps in the integration. I think I would want to look at it and pack it from, even as you work from home, are you able to integrate the aspects of the work and taking those breaks, even in the space of, the home environment? You can have a lot of disruptions because of maybe the children are out. And if you do not have the children as well, you want to grab coffee, you want to do this. Yes, it helps if it is well managed and effectively managed. However, on the other side of the spectrum, if still it is not well managed and you allow in all those small things to come and disrupt of your program, then it can be very unproductive. I know I have interacted with people who have adopted the working from home. For some, it is not working. For some, it is working. Why? For those who it is not working, sometimes it feels like an isolation. You've been isolated out of the space, and there are people who naturally thrive and work very well in environments where they are seeing other people. So again, it's like, looking at, if you have a vehicle and all the tires, one of them is low on, pressure. How do you add the pressure to be able to remain balanced? Even when you're feeling like it's a social isolation, there are many other activities you can still be able to do after work, or even as you work through that same setup of the virtual work, still integrating fun activities into it. I think it is very subjective for many people. Some people it works well, others doesn't work. It's just being authentic with yourself and looking what works for me, what doesn't work for me, what is a healthy coping mechanism in the space where I am at, what is not healthy. So let's look at that. What is are you a balancer or are you an integrator? And to me, both the balancer and the integrator, they all have, when you think about Jane, when you think about Jake, they were all able to be productive in their work. So they have had time for their personal time and work for their work responsibilities. At the end of the day, they both made sure that they have put in enough time, enough energy into the hours of work and into hours into their other areas of life. It's just how you do it. You do it differently. At the end of the day, it's getting results productively and effectively. And quickly into just looking at what are the key differentiators between these two aspects. Number one, think about Jane. Jane has put blocks of time. So her work is totally differentiated. She has been able to differentiate and separate herself from work and family. So with work-life balance, we are saying that you have separated those two aspects completely. Think about Jake. Jake has already found a way to be flexible in a way that it doesn't make him unproductive in either way. So he's allowed flexibility. So here there is a separation, clear-cut separation, and on this other side of the blend or integration, you are allowing in some flexibility. Now think about the schedules again. So Jane is very scheduled in the way she does her things. It's a designated schedule. She's been able to adopt that to do her work well and to do her personal life well. Jake is purely putting in these pieces together in his maze of life. He's picking a piece of the jigsaw for his work. He's picking a jigsaw of his social life, his other areas of life, and putting them all together, intuitively being able to be oriented that I can still be able to put these things together and make sense to him or to you. Think about Jane. Jane works in fixed hours. She works from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Those are her working hours. So it's fixated in that way. Now, for Jake, there's flexible working hours as long as he's able to achieve his targets. He knows that I can wake up very early in the morning, look at what I'm supposed to do, plan, do my work to-do list, go to work, put in the energy, leave, go do something else, and still be able to achieve my target. Now, in work-life balance, we say that time for yourself is viewed as a reward for a job well done. Now, for the work-life integration, time for yourself is a part of the productive working hours to have your mind at rest. So you're saying, at this point, when I am not doing the work, my professional work, I'm doing something else, which is still productive in my life. I don't have to really put some time aside, but I can still be able to bring these two things together. Now, lastly, that the time should, with the work-life balance, that the time should be spent somehow equally. We are thinking in a scale, be 50-50, depending on how you look at it, is it 40-40, but it is equally divided, that you're saying professionally, I am giving in my 8 hours. My personal life, I am giving in my other 8 hours. Now, for Jake, who applies the work-life integration, the amount of time that he spends on professional and personal life may vary. Why? One, he's allowed flexibility into it. Number two, he's saying, depending on how these priorities are changing, I can still be able to be effective and I can still be able to be productive. And so the question to each and every one of us, which skill do you lie into? Are you better as a work-life integrator? Are you better as a work-life balancer? Again, we have just looked at the balance, and the integration is about weaving things together and creating that synergy, bringing all those things, the domains of your life together, and saying, my jigsaw is working. All the pieces are fitting in, they are coexisting together, and they are working in effectively. I am okay. It is making sense to me. At the end of the day, what you're saying, it's finding fulfillment in your life, in your personal life, and also fulfillment in your personal life. I don't know whether there are any comments on whether integration, Angela, or whether they are balancer. Any responses to that? We can look at it briefly.
Yes. Pauline, we have more comments coming in from Margaret Wangu, who says that I feel at this point of the year, I'm okay and she's less stressed. It's good for you, Maggie, and we pray for this throughout the year. Wavi says, I prefer to look at it as life-work integration. And also, Massimo Gona says that I find integration workable and practical for me. So yes, Jackie says she's an integrator.
All right, thank you everyone for your responses. I am also a strong proponent for integration. That is what I apply in my life. I like integrating things together. I have found it working, but again, I want to put it out here that again, it all depends. For you to be able to know what works for you, it is important to be aware of the context of your work, the industry where you work, the nature of your work, and all the dynamics around your work, so that you're able to know which is it that fits into me and fits in effectively. So context matters, the dynamics around your job matters, the dynamics around your life matters. But yes, work-life integration is a big take for me. And so when there's no life integration, briefly, we are likely to experience a few things. And one of the things I have come across with the many people I've interacted with is stress and burnout. You know, it all starts with stress. Progressively, it goes out to burnout. Why? Because burnout is stress that has not been managed. It starts on slowly. You're feeling you have a headache here and there. You're feeling like you're not giving your all in a job. You know, at the end of the day, you're asking yourself, really, what have I been able to achieve today? Tomorrow, you don't feel like going to work. If that is not addressed, if you don't now take a step back and ask yourself, wait a minute, Pauline, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? And that is not checked in and something done about it, it leads into chronic stress, and chronic stress leads into burnout. You know, at the end of the day, you go home and ask yourself, wow, that was a tough day. That was really a tough day. Yes, you are recognizing it was a tough day, but then the next step to take and ask, what made it tough? What can I do different? What can I readjust? Do I need help? Who can I ask for help? If it is at the workplace, can I go to my supervisor and ask for help? Can we review the work that I do and not just say, my work is stressful, and you leave it at that and do nothing about it? You know, sometimes you feel you can't go on again. You know, burnout has really checked you and you're totally drained. And I'm glad there are some of us who are really feeling they're in a good space. That's very encouraged that every one of us should be in that space. If possible. Sometimes you feel like you're drowning, you know, everything is just going away and all you're asking for is help. Who can help me? How can I get the help, you know? And when you start feeling you're out of your equilibrium is when you know, even at night you can't sleep, you are not interested in non-work related things, you know, your social life has been put under the carpet. You just feel exhausted every day. When you think you're going to work the next day, you're feeling, no, I don't want to go to work. Why? There's something that is not checked in you. Yes, you're cognizant that you are experiencing all these things, you're feeling the exhaustion, you're dreading the work, but what can I do? What do I need to do? So the key thing is recognize what you feel. This is my approach. I call them the 3R approach of managing burnout. Recognize, watch out those warning signs of burnout. Keep checking in with yourself. Keep taking track. From the list that we captured here as we were beginning, keep checking in. Which one needs less time? I mean, less energy. Which one can I let go? Which one can I delegate? Which one is important? Which one is urgent? Which one can I give it to someone? What can I pack and do tomorrow? Check in with yourself every day. Ask yourself, what can I reverse, you know? What is this that now that you've already been able to identify and recognize the warning signs, then what then can you do? What boundaries can you set for yourself? How is your community of support? And your community of support can be anywhere. It can be at your workplace. It can be outside the workplace, as long as there are people that you trust and there are people that you can speak to and you feel indeed that is workable. And finally, look at the resilience. What is your level of resilience? And shift perspective. Look at all these dimensions of your life and remember about your self-care. And so from where we looked at, you can scale in. I would want you to go with this, rate those activities on a scale of 0 to 10 in terms of how you feel. 0 being you feel angry, you feel drained, and 10 that you're energized and you're feeling joyful about your work. Remember, these are things you'll always be experiencing. You are on phone call with your boss. Don't forget there's a meeting tomorrow on this side. There's someone else who is competing for your attention. And remember that if you're feeling that tomorrow is Monday again, and that is the feeling that is coming, ultimately you need to check. Don't feel stuck in your job. Probably I can give it back to you, Angela, in the interest of time. We can take in questions and then we can look at strategies if we have the time. If not, we can have a part 2 of this.
Thank you so much, Pauline. You have really started conversations. I can see comments and questions on chat, and we will go through them. So to the first question, Pauline, Naomi says that maybe you can clarify on how you can balance without overdoing integration, especially in a situation where you have targets to meet. So what do you propose, Pauline? Do we take the questions first or we go through? Yes. Okay, yes.
Just go through all the questions, then we can take in case we need to put some together.
Okay, amazing. Then I see we have integrators in the house as well. Caroline Gaduru says that integrating is a rumor for her. Why? Why does she say this? Let me just scroll down. A second. Yes, she says integrating is a rumor for her. She had better figure out how to balance and block specific timings for things. Otherwise, the work things will overtake the other life things because of the weight of the work things to be done. Work things, life things. That's from Carol. Then Dennis Njiru says that I find work-life integration limiting my effectiveness with a great deal of emergencies, especially family and children. Striking a balance between the two is the goal for me. So he is a balancer. And then, however, he says he's here to learn. Then Joe has kind of wrapped it up for us where he says that seems we have an issue with understanding integration and mixing. Is it mixing work with life or life with work? What really then is integration? What is integration? And can we really separate life from work? Do we stop living when working, or we are already integrated by nature? Oh, sorry, by default. Many questions in my mind. So there is that also from Joe. And then Judith says that integration has a greater risk of burnout, especially when work takes almost all your time, Monday to Sunday. The challenge of creating boundaries between work and the other demands. That is from Judith. And then lastly, Jackie says that is integration a safe word to hide behind for workaholics? I'm one of them. That's what made me happy. Ha ha ha. Yes. Back to you, Pauline.
All right, great interactions, great thoughts, great perspectives. I see every one of us is in a different space. We are all interpreting the reality of this concept, the reality of life in different ways. And like I said before, I'm cognizant that different things play out differently for people. Our jobs are all different. The activities of our lives are all different. So what do I mean? What I mean is that when opting on which side of the scale to go, whether it is on the work-life balance or it's on the life-work integration, be you, be very authentic with yourself. Authenticity is key in this aspect of life. And what do I mean by authenticity? It is sitting back with yourself and asking, well, somebody raised about the emergency of the families. Looking realistically, these are the things that happens in my life. There are some things that we are in control of, and there are those that we are not in control of. Now, package your work. If your work allows for that flexibility, then integration comes in very effectively. Then if the nature of your work is such that the weight of it can only allow you to put blocks of time so that this time is specifically for work and the other time is specifically, and being able to shut that down completely, go for it. Key thing is understanding what is the best coping mechanism that is effective, that is efficient, and that is productive for each and every one of us. It is not, we be careful not to apply a one size fit them all, but cut, our cloth according to our sizes and recognizing. And it's very important to be very cognizant of the spaces where we are at and how they look like, being authentic with ourselves and highlighting this yes works for me and this does not work for me. Back to you, Angela.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being with us this morning. We are almost ending the session. We promised to end the session 1 hour after it starts at 12. So here we are. I don't know if we have any more questions for the speaker. If not, allow us to end the meeting now. Thank you, Pauline. I believe today's session has, has spoken to many of us. Because again, we are people, we are human with feelings. So we live life. We live life when we experience these things, and there is so much to life. We juggle a lot. So Pauline, thank you so much. And we look forward to hosting you again. Good people, we mentioned in the beginning of this session that we'll be having these sessions after every 2 months. So please be on the lookout whenever we put out another call for another session. Please join us. We'll be happy to host you, and there's so much to learn. To all our members who are in the house, thank you so much. Thank you for always supporting us. We truly appreciate you. To the guests and the non-members, we invite you to membership, and also thank you for joining us today. We are going to kindly request for your feedback. Joy, kindly help me put the feedback link on chat. Please give us your feedback. Tell us where we need to improve, what you need to hear more from us again, and stuff like that. Thank you. Please give us your feedback on chat. And final remarks. Good people, we are having a conference on the 20th and 21st of April next month. That is in Naivasha. Registrations are still ongoing. Please reach out to us, for your bookings, and we will be happy to go to Naivasha with you all. Thank you, and thank you once again for joining. Thank you, Pauline, and bye. Feel free to leave at any time. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and have a great afternoon, each and every one of us.